Tell the president he can wait.
You move this down.
Oh, yeah, if you want to move?
It's just so I can use this label too.
Yes.
Well, thank you for everyone for being here and for taking a few moments to listen to some of us. I've been in this fight now since March, basically 20th, 2020. But it's, really started about November 4th, about 3 p.m. If you guys remember that. And, no joke, I actually ended up grabbing, grabbed my employees because it was just, so much insanity going on with the COVID nonsense and people reporting people en masse. So I grabbed 8 staff members. We went up to my house and we set up like basically a law shop. I was creating a voter integrity forum for Jesse Law's guys down in Vegas. We talked to hundreds, if not thousands of folks that, I had people call me up and say, Mr. Gilbert, I can't stand President Trump, but I've seen how hard you're working, and I didn't vote this year, and I just went on the website you posted on your Facebook, and I checked, and it shows I voted by mail. And I can promise you that vote's not for Donald Trump. And so, there are some great people. Obviously, this world's not completely gone. It's mostly gone. But, there are some great human beings. I talked to a bunch of people that called me up and said the same thing. My parents have been dead for 3 years. I just went on your thing, shows they voted by mail. This happened hundreds of times, guys. Hundreds of times. I couldn't believe it. And you just couldn't it's like no one wanted to hear it. No one wanted to listen. We were quickly putting these guys into affidavits, doing declarations, and it was, in my opinion, our president was just done, from behind, by his own people. There's just no way there to explain it. As an attorney, what I would have expected for our president was not what he got. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to pick on anybody. I just don't think what was done would have met my standard, would have met Roger's standard, would have met anyone's standard in here. Not even a little bit. So let me just say that. And, segueing into that, it is so awesome to see the people rising up in this room because we have had enough. I keep telling people, I say, unless you see a candidate that gets up here and talks like me and says exactly what I say, don't waste your time on it. Okay? Don't waste your time. No more rhinos, no more never-Trumpers, no more establishment, no more. And let me tell you something. When I say establishment, I mean both sides. Because let me tell you something real quick. This thing didn't happen because the Democrats are evil geniuses. Okay, now they're evil, all right? But they had to have willing partners, all right? So if you don't think for 1 second that there were people on the inside, Republicans, that played a hand in this, you got another thing coming. Which is why I believe every single person in office to date, if you've been in office longer than a few years, you're out. Get them out. Because if they didn't stand up for us during this last 18 months, they gotta go. And a lot of people say to me, and I have a whole little thing I could talk about, but I'm going to be standing for Segal a little quick, doing a little message for her as well. Her flight's running late, and I'll just say this. This is our next Attorney General, and this woman, I'm so proud to call her a friend and a mentor and someone that I look up to. Because let me tell you something, you guys all know this. You don't have to be the smartest guy in the room. You can hire him. And that's, honestly, Henry Ford said that. And I say that to people, they say, because Joey doesn't have experience in politics. That's a good thing.
That is a good thing, yes.
They say, oh, he doesn't have any disaster management experience like the sheriff. Well, they're doing a real great job down there. A superb job since day one. I had the state open by April 15th, 2020. Done. Guaranteed. So, let me just say this. I want to talk about Segal real quick. Guys, last year, when they had the casinos open, and the dispensaries open, and the strip clubs opening, and everything else opening, and our churches were still closed. I got a phone call. Jim Merchant had talked to a guy named Pastor Jimmy Morales down in Vegas, and I had spoken to a couple other clergy, other pastors. No one wanted to do it. Then all of a sudden, that's why I said to Pastor Jimmy, and they prayed over him. I was in Calvary Chapel, Lone Mountain, a couple weeks ago. But it was amazing, and he said, we got on the phone. He said, so, hey, I want to sue the governor. And he said, I heard you're the guy. And I said, well, I'm not really the guy, I've never sued in federal court before. And then he goes, well, come on, you can do it. And I said, okay. And I got a hold of Seagal. I called Seagal up. And if you talk to Seagal, she'll tell you this story exactly. She calls me her Kim Kardashian. She says, you're the Kim Kardashian. You worry about getting everybody in there and getting everybody excited, and I'll put the work together. And no joke, guys. She's brilliant. She put together an argument. Now, we lost in the district court down in Las Vegas because, I'm sorry, the courts are, we all know where I'm going with this. But we appealed him. We appealed, and I'm going to say this, and again, guys, one thing about President Trump, and I love the man, but sometimes he said things and everyone went like, oh, you know, sometimes. But I think when someone's a corrupt hack of a politician and they're kind of a scumbag, that's what you call them. And Steve Sisolak is a clown. Okay? This is when a clown show response. And I'm not going to miss those words, although I'll tell you something. I've got the suburban moms, I've got the mama bears, I've got everyone with me at these city council meetings. They've been the only ones. All right? I got to see a wife turn around to her husband and say, take that mask off, you look ridiculous. Okay? I'm not joking. This is the year of the woman. This is why Seagal is the woman for this job. She's fearless. She's a constitutionalist. She cares about wrong and right and fair treatment, and she's not afraid to file the lawsuit. Remember that. And this goes everywhere because we intend on filing some lawsuits to clean up these voter rolls. We intend on filing some lawsuits to clean up this process. And again, you guys must, people must think we are absolutely asleep at the wheel. So they're going to come out and say that what happened at that last election was the most, you know, what do they call it, accurate and safe and secure election of our lifetime. But somehow, the 6 states responsible for delivering the presidency of these United States were closed down for not a few hours, not a few days, but 3 weeks, until we already know what happened. They could bring in the ballots, so they could scan the images, so they could send them through the Aegis machine, so they could go to the adjudication room, also known as the vote flipping room, so that they could get to the number they needed to win. All right? So let's stop playing the game. And unless you have someone up here talking like this, then they're either part of it, and they're already cooked in the deal, or they're clueless. They have no right running. All right? Because if you don't think that this election thing is an issue that we need to get fixed, then you haven't been paying attention to anything. And I know they've been censoring everything, and I know they've worked super hard to make us look like we're crazy. But what happens when all your conspiracy theories come true?
Yeah.
In 1 year. Right? Anybody else dealt with that? Because I've been dealing with it. Domestic terrorists. Now we're domestic terrorists, okay? But let's back up a second here. So like I said, people wonder me, they said, Joey, how the heck did you get so involved in this? You know, well, I'm minding my business. I'm doing my thing. And one night, I see President Trump is suspending travel from China. And I'm thinking, you know, what's he doing right now? You know, you guys know, how do you guys know this? Like, okay, what's he doing? So I look in there and I find out about this virus coming from China. I call my old man. My father's Marine Corps. Okay, once a Marine, always a Marine. But he's attached through the Navy as a trauma surgeon. If I don't outline this for you, I will get yelled at. Okay, I'm talking about the Marine first. Always a Marine. The Navy took him. All right. So I say this because my old man is as tough as you can get. I've never seen him sick or really injured, no matter what's happened in our lives. And all of a sudden, he gets COVID. Right? And I had called him a couple days before. I said, hey, Dad, listen, I just looked online. I typed in this. You guys want to check out how smart I am. I typed in coronavirus treatment, South Korea. And up popped hydroxychloroquine, azithromycin, doxycycline, zinc sulfate. And then they started throwing stuff in like vitamin D3 and this and that. But that was it. And did you guys know that to date, as I speak to you today, there's less than 500 deaths in the entire nation state of South Korea. You want to know why that is? Because they dosed their entire at-risk population with this entire process right in the beginning. And have you ever seen how these people live on top of, there's no social distancing. Their masks don't work. I mean, we won't even get into that with Fauci's emails. But the issue is, my father, I called him and said, Pop, we got to get this. He said, that's a dangerous drug. I said, I'm looking at the CDC page right now. It says safe for women and children for up to 5 years and safe for pregnant women, which is not on Tylenol or vitamin C. I mean, this is how serious this is. So when I called the old man and said, we need to get it, he said, son, first he says it's dangerous. The next day he calls me back and goes, you know what? I actually think I took it. I said, you did take it when you deployed to Africa. And he said, it's platinum. So he had taken it, and he says, that stuff's everywhere, we don't need to worry about it. The very next day, the governor starts talking about it. My dad gets it. He's a doctor on the front lines for the state. He's in a gown, a face shield, a mask, and gloves. He gets it. Who do you think he gives it to? My little Italian mother, okay? Who you know, just gets hit hard. Well, like I said, my old man got sick, and he actually called hydroxychloroquine in himself to CVS, picked it up, and he got home, he had 103.9 fever, and within an hour, it was 98 degrees. His headache he had for 4 days was gone. Anybody who's had it recovered in here knows it's no joke. Feels like you got hit by a bus. You know, I've had it. And so just to see him recover like that, I knew he had a problem. When our governor, as you guys have seen, is not the brightest guy in the bunch, right? You've seen this guy, right? This guy's never done nothing, never achieved anything, all right, except for suing the county. And this guy, every move he's made, when people say to me, Joey, what would you do differently? I say, just the exact opposite of this guy. Okay? But all I'm trying to tell you guys is, you think it was an accident he banned hydroxychloroquine?
No.
March 23rd, 2020? No, it wasn't. Somebody called him. He's not smart enough to do it. And you saw this in all the blue states. And right now, as we sit here today, we're one of 12 states that still have a mask mandate. Why is that? And if you put that up against the map of what Hillary Clinton won, or Joe Biden stole, it's the exact blueprint of what states are left. And they're tortured. Oregon, Washington, California, Nevada, Vermont, name those some of those, Illinois, Louisiana. Again, yet if you go across state lines, I just went to Utah, I was in St. George, and then Arizona, no masks in either place, then you get to Mesquite and there's masks. Must be a different virus across the state. So again, it's just the most ridiculous nonsense anyone's ever seen, what's happened in this state. And if you've traveled and been to other states, I've been to Florida, I've been everywhere, it's normal life. So either there's something going on here, and it's all political, and it's garbage, or there's a different virus that we don't all know about, right? So again, that's what got me in this fight was they banned a medication, my family was sick, and then I saw it heal my family, and I said, you're kidding me. He's going to keep this from Nevadans? I wrote him a letter and begged him to secure the nursing homes. Get this up to the nursing homes. I read this, no response. Then I petitioned him, then no response. Then I sued him, all right? And again, all that lawsuit did was make sure he couldn't extend his emergency directive, his emergency regulation past July 23rd, 2020, but he never let anybody in the state know that hydroxychloroquine was then available in the state after July 23rd, 2020. And to this day, we're still fighting with knucklehead pharmacists and people that are calling. You've seen what's happened here, all right? Anybody who's done any homework will tell you that this ivermectin won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2015 for its treatment in humans. There's a TED Talk on it. It used to be, until they censored it, right? So, it is absolutely outrageous what's happened. Go ahead.
It's available at the feed stores, just like
It is.
penicillin, amoxicillin.
It's there, and you know what there are.
Sorry.
It's not available anymore. They stopped selling it.
Excuse me, I work at a feed store,
No, I know.
part-time
There's-
job, and we still sell it. We're just out of it because people keep buying it.
Yeah.
But it's because they use it for the horses, and it's a feed store.
No, I'm very aware of it. They're actually using it in the Rio Grande Valley
Backed out.
for the last 9 months.
You have to take an amount about half the size of an M&M. My daughter and 2 grandkids had it. The day they got the ivermectin, knocked it right out.
Yeah, it knocks it right out. Listen, there's other safer ways to get it too. You can go on America's Frontline Doctors. I know they have a little bit of a wait right now because they were seeing 3,000 patients a day. But I say this to everybody. My staff wants to shoot me when I do this, but you can send an email to joey@aflds.org and I can get you connected. There's an awesome gentleman down in Las Vegas that he's letting doctors, I've got up here from Bruce Fong, Dr. Troy Ross, my father, Dr. Gerber, I go through a list of them, but they can call it into a place in Vegas, Partnell Pharmacy, and he'll ship it up same day. Roger.
They can't admit the treatment and mandate the vaccine.
Yep, I know.
Can't do both.
I know.
So that's why you never heard about treatment.
Well, guys, you know, and that goes to some of the things I'm going to talk on real briefly here is many of you guys probably heard me speak about my campaign issues, but I thought one of the ways I could get through tonight was I would update you on the progress of the campaign so far. Would you guys like to hear a little bit about that?
Yes.
So, how our positions have been received statewide, and my campaign's top 3 issues. dealing with the COVID mandates, election integrity, and taking back our public schools.
Yes.
Okay? Now, there's a lot of stuff that centers around those because when you bring in the COVID mandates, that has to do with our jobs and our economy. And when you talk about the schools, anybody that tries to talk about schools without talking about the economy or vice versa has no idea what they're talking about. Because we have the 50th schools, the schools are rated 50th in the nation here. And last year, Sisolak gave them more money, we went lower. I don't know how you can go lower than last.
57.
50, so this is the truth. I wish I was making this up, but I'm not. So one of the funny things we say in my little group is we say, what are we going to do if we're a business? Say, come here, we promise you the most uneducated workforce? Like, think about it. So again, you can't jump ahead and say everyone's going to do this with the economy. Well, number one with the economy, stop the nonsense, get rid of the mandates, no anything, no vaccine passport. And I'm talking every business. Have a spine. This is the Resort Association included. This is the mining companies included. If you're in this state, you're not mandating anything on our residents or anybody that lives here.
Amen.
Simple as that.
Yes.
Okay? That's big one. And another thing is the moral courage. Moral courage to do what's right.
Yep.
And people say, well, Joey, how are you going to do? What if you get in there and there's a Democrat? First of all, I think we're going to bring in people like you've never seen. The excitement behind my campaign in Las Vegas, which is what I'm going to get to, is we've had thousands of people at our rallies. I had over 2,300 people on the first rally I did out in front of the Saks Avenue. Then I went back for the call out, and September 7th we had almost 5,000 people on the strip. For those of you that people say, Joey's not from Southern, I lived in Las Vegas from 2003 till 2008, that was enough. And I opened a law firm there from 2013 through 2016. I actually have more friends and business partners in Vegas than I do Reno by a lot. Okay, that's not an issue. Don't worry about that. Just keep, zipping my lives and stuff down to your friends in Southern Nevada and tell them to share it. So, let me just say this. I'm continuing to, apply pressure both, publicly, privately, to get these mandates removed. So we've also, and Sigal will come and talk a little about this, but not only is she fantastic to be able to bring anything to, but she's been my right hand. Like, she has been, the person that I've gone to. I can't even say right hand's not fair. I've gone to her. Sigal, what do we do? Sigal, what do we do? Now, I did ride her butt for 2 months on this mask mandate, and then after the first day of school, she called me and said, let's do it. Oh my God, my voice smells crazy. We got to do this, so we filed it. But I told her we need to file one for the testing, and we need to file one for the vaccines now. It's not just the masks, all right? Because we're seeing tens of thousands of Nevadans having their lives destroyed over what? Something that doesn't work, is ineffective, doesn't prevent transmission, doesn't prevent infection. I'm sorry, but I have to say this loud and clear. I've got whistleblowers at the Southern Nevada Health District. I've got whistleblowers inside the Nevada Hospital Association. And over 68% of the people hospitalized and doing the worst are vaccinated.
That's right. Yes.
Okay? So I'm not going to, again, how I'm going to deal with people that want to argue about that is I'm going to hit them right back. All right? I mean, again, I am the counterpuncher. I'm not afraid of a fight with anybody, especially the media, but I will not take backward steps on what I know to be true. It's not going to happen. See back there.
What about the law?
The law?
Yeah.
Well, we're working the law.
Okay, hang on a second.
You have to have fair judges for the law.
The masks are governed by laws that have been established for over 100 years.
No, it's not a law, it's a
The
governor
PT
direct.
48,
Mandate.
Sisolak mandating it, he has to.
I understand everything you're saying, and again, I don't think anybody should comply with this. I think that we should all ignore this nonsense. Problem is, they've got our poor babies hostage because these kids want to go to school with their friends. They want to see their friends, they
That's
want
not
to
what
play
I'm
their
talking
sports.
about. There's laws that he's not following his laws.
We'll get to that stuff. Again, I understand that, but I'm not governor right now. And I'm doing everything I can. I'm losing in courts, and I'm filing as much as we can, but we're losing. The fact of the matter is now they just stalled Sigal, and she'll tell you about it. She's so mad again because, they don't even give you a minute order so you can appeal it right away. They're going to make her wait till November to hear our mask mandate case. I'm not doing questions just yet, but go ahead.
Okay, all of these issues depend upon winning elections, and tell me how we can win any elections until we get 2020 fixed.
Exactly, and I'm going to get to that. We're covering that. In the same vein, I would say, are these COVID restrictions. Because as you can see, what he's doing with this is how he's consolidating power and keeping us, there's all kinds of little special games that he's playing with this COVID power. In every level, in every bureaucracy in this state, there's a new rule, a new something. The only thing, like I said to Dr. Gold, that will end this is to end the emergency.
Yep.
To end the emergency. And again, if they did it to Cuomo in New York, and Whitmer, and in Kentucky, and Pritzker, we can do it here.
Yes.
I believe it. I believe with all my heart, and there was just a big win. I don't know if you guys follow a guy named Jeff Childers. He's out of Florida. He just won a big one in Gainesville, all right, against the city for mandatory masks and mandatory vaccines. Now we're going to go private business. So it's just, he's got the first appellate court decision in the country against the vaccine mandate. So it's a big deal, and we're working with those guys. I spoke to him yesterday, and actually was texting him in the back over there. But it's taking all resources and all hands on deck, like General Flynn has said, to get this fight and to keep this fight moving. Right now, the fight increasingly greatly in Clark County. Mandates threatening jobs of tens of thousands of government and school employees. So I've got probably 2,000 teachers we've talked to. Over 200 have signed on to the lawsuit. But now, the Clark County School District is negotiating with staff on applying the religious exemptions liberally. So we have to kind of see how that shakes out. I also continue to support an issue on behalf of the communities all across America, as we already talked about with America's Frontline Doctors. And then, as I said, we had 2 rallies on the Strip that were incredible. We also have 600 campaign volunteers working in our permanent Southern Nevada office on the corner of Bonanza and Eastern. I'm right in the middle of the Latino neighborhood, and I've got unbelievable support from that demographic. It's been incredible. It's been absolutely incredible. I'm going right here. I said the election integrity issue. Trying to guarantee honest elections in 2022 remains the most critical problem we face. This is the most critical problem we face. And just so you guys know, because you're going to hear from him, you're going to see from him, Sheriff Lombardo's been telling people that Joey Gilbert's a one-trick pony because all he cares about is the election integrity. That should tell you everything you need to know. Okay, he supported Sisolak, and Sisolak supported him, endorsed him. They endorsed each other. So just remember that when they come up here. And remember what I said. No more politicians. No more rhinos. No more establishment guys. No more never-Trumpers. That's how we got here. I know you guys brought that up. But get Cadency or Cagnosti, get him out already. God, that guy's a pain. You know? So I just want to say this. We are working to solve this problem on the election integrity on multiple fronts. I'm not the only one doing the stuff behind the scenes, but I'm the only one filing lawsuits, being hired by rural counties, being roasted by that scumbag John Ralston, because God forbid I should have the rural counties reaching out to me to look into this nonsense. Because when you're Humboldt County with 18,000 votes, and you're Lander County with 6,000 votes, and you're White Pine County with 6,000 votes, and you're Elko County with 60,000 votes, including Spring Creek, and there's 143,000 votes that are determined to be, non-verified by Joe Gloria, who signed an affidavit, and Trump loses by 33,000 votes, and there's 143 that you signed something saying we're a problem with, and we should have to revote, and then all of a sudden 3 days go by, he's disappeared like CSI Miami. Next thing you know is there's a picture of him up 10 years prior with some little PDF file underneath him talking, and everything's fine. Abracadabra. Boom. Everything was fine. So, again, I just want to say this, is that as I travel the state, I'm developing committed groups of poll watchers and poll workers in every single county.
Going after the people that commit the voting fraud?
No. I know they were turned into Barbara Skobgaski, and to my knowledge, nothing's been done. Roger?
How does that play with somebody that may be running for office that wants to work in Skobgaski's counting room?
That's a great question.
You can't be
Would that
within
be a
1,000
conflict
feet. Are you
of
talking
interest?
about being a candidate?
No, that's poll watching. I'm talking about actually poll workers, like getting in there and working.
I'm talking about ballot count.
We gotta work them.
There's NRS legislation that tells you who can go in there and how many are allowed.
Well, again, all I'm saying is that we have to mobilize these groups and get on this side and not wait for them. Because I took calls from whistleblowers out of Vegas that were the head, the senior leaders on the verification team, and they weren't let in the adjudication room.
Right.
And what about, when you guys get in there, statute of limitations going after these guys, the corruption?
Oh, you know, I'll tell you one thing about Segal. That's why I love her. She's fearless. I believe she absolutely would investigate this. You know what? I'll tell you right now, first thing I'll do if I'm elected is do an audit of the 2020 election.
Right.
Yeah.
While I'm at it, you're gonna love this. Let's audit the school districts.
Yeah.
Let's audit Metro. Let's audit Reno Police. Let's audit the city and the county. Let's see where this money went. Right? I mean, I think we should have an audit party. And I'll be hiring some attorneys.
For those that may not know, Superintendent Christian McNeil has put in her resignation. She's leaving.
And we'll talk about that. You guys have seen on my Facebook page. I don't think that when someone resigns because they're not only incompetent, but they're bad, they shouldn't be around till June.
I was gonna say.
She should be gone at the end of this semester, and we should push like crazy to get her gone. And I said in a Facebook meeting that I intend on having a community meeting, that I'm going to rent a hotel room, a ballroom in a hotel, and I'm going to have a 2-hour meeting where I bring a lot of you folks in, and anyone that's been at these commission meetings and these school board meetings, we're going to have a little discussion about it. And I don't care what anybody thinks. We're going to sit down and talk about it, because I want to hear from everybody who's been on the front lines dealing with it, what we really need to do to make sure another McNeil doesn't get in place. Because, I mean, she wasn't even supposed to be interviewed.
She wasn't.
All right, I've heard so many horror stories about this lady, and then had to deal with her my own. It just can't happen again.
Yeah, but if we've had a Tracy Davis and a Martinez, you know, that's where all the losers, can I say losers? Go to be an official.
Yeah, I know. Well, listen, guys, there's another thing that's important. So I'm working with some independent government forensic experts that have come to me. We're learning everything possible that can be done to apply a pressure to these election officials. We're working to ensure that they obey the laws in tabulating votes. And these experts approached our campaign and volunteered their help and expertise. And they're not by no means unqualified. These are top people that are certified in these areas, and they've been unbelievable to work with. And I asked them why they were doing this, and they said they believe that the 2022 election will determine Nevada's future. I believe that too. They also believe I'm the only candidate who can beat Governor Sisolak.
Yes.
So, why is that important? Here's the most important thing of what's going to be important for this primary, and then pulling it across for the general. So I was the only one in this entire race that was Trump from the jump, day one. I was the one announcing the praise. You guys remember, every politician hid from Trump coming into town. I was announcing him in Reno and Vegas.
Right.
Governor Pence as well at the time. They were all gone. No one wanted to get in on it, right? And so from the very beginning, I've been Trump from the jump. I've been an America First candidate from day one. I've been about fixing our schools, strengthening our Second Amendment, and I want to go full constitutional carry.
Yeah.
Get up here and go backwards. First of all, no matter how many commercials he runs, he threw ICE out of Metro. That's a fact.
Right.
Okay. ICE was put out of Metro. Okay. He brought in the Bloomberg laws, which turned Nevada blue. He was a red flag. He was the only sheriff that wouldn't sign with the chiefs and sheriffs about the gun laws until this year. Okay? So again, it's all an act, and everyone's got to not forget that. Because again, if they can pay drag queens to read our kids' nursery rhymes, then I can pay off-duty cops and military veterans to teach people about guns.
Yeah.
Right? Anybody got a problem with that? Thinking outside the box, guys. So, let me say this. The next thing, taking back our public schools. All right, as you guys are well aware now, these are no longer public schools run by the public. They are government schools run by the government. We are kept out, we are kept at bay, we're harassed and arrested. Now apparently we have the FBI coming after us because we're trying to bring accountability to our school system. It's disgusting. The past 8 months I've worked steadily with the school districts statewide to learn the details of our currently disastrous school situation. Learning what can be done to fix it. In Elko County, I talk regularly with local residents to figure out how to find good leadership to replace a recently deposed superintendent and a crumbling school board. They went in there and threatened these poor people with their personal lives, with just about everything you can imagine, and scared these guys that were doing the right thing. No masks for anybody that didn't want it, including teachers, and they went in there and threatened them. In Clark County, I'm working with local parents and community members to get rid of a school board and superintendent who have had numerous community members forcibly dragged out of the school board meetings by security. You guys saw what happened to Mac Miller down there. I mean, ridiculous what's going on, all right, because they disagree with the superintendent's policies. And here in Washoe County, after 10 years of trusting education experts, right, I am so done with the trusting, after spending $7 billion maintaining the absolutely worst schools in the nation, after watching 40,000 local children lose their chance for a decent education. I don't know about you, but what do you guys think? Enough is enough. I've had enough. So again, taking back our schools is my campaign's #1 issue. It really is, because it all connects to the other issues. When you think about it, like I said, it's influencing every aspect of our life. This critical race theory nonsense, these masks, these passing the restorative discipline problem. You guys probably don't know this, but there's over 210 or 220,000 physical assaults every year on our school teachers. That's 1,200 a day. There's teachers in Washoe County and Clark County currently getting therapy, nerve therapy on their forearms from putting their hands up to block punches. You guys don't realize that. And frequently I'm told that when they catch these kids doing this, when they catch them selling drugs, they see them scampering through the hall, 30 minutes later. All right, so we've got to change that. We've got to change where if you don't show up to class, you don't do your homework, you don't pass. That's the way it works. So, again, I just want to say this, that I've also continued to apply legal pressure to school district situations that range from illegal to incompetent to criminally immoral and damaging to our children. Recent resignations by school board members, Superintendent McNeil and possibly others, let's hope for it, are encouraging signs that the pressure for school transformation being applied by all of you and all of us is starting to yield positive results. So stay on it. Stay on it. It is working. And don't ever think, this is what I speak about, and I'm going to let you guys know this now, but I got General Flynn's about to endorse me publicly. The General said to me when I told him what I was doing with these counties and what I told him what I was doing with the fight I did for the churches and everything else, he has said that unless we all get involved, unless we all get all hands on deck, this is directly from General Flynn, and we're talking about one of the nicest just class acts you'll ever meet in your lifetime. This man is just gold. And he said, everyone's got to get involved. Don't think you don't matter. Don't think you don't matter. Get to these meetings. Put your name down. Don't let them stall us out. Get in there. Read them the Riot Act. Let them know exactly how you feel. And then do what these guys are doing here, which is awesome. Run them the heck out. All right? Run them out. Run them out. Run against them and send them packing. That's how we're going to do this. So now, another thing that's important. In my traveling across the state, I found out water's a big deal here, right? So, you don't connect to it because you think our government leaders are on top of it, and then you hear Steve Sisolak say that his plan for water, he's not going to let any lawns in Las Vegas after 2026. You know how much water that's going to save? Less than 1%. So what I did is I started getting with our ag partners, our ranchers, talking to folks in these big places in our rural communities, and I learned that irrigation experts months ago that more efficient irrigation by our alfalfa and other ranching partners could reduce the water they currently use to their crops by 40%.
Wow.
40%. Now guys, we spend 17 to 18% on personal use, 7% on the mining. Do you realize that's double the water? So Genius Boy is going to shut the lawns off in Vegas, and I'm going to get with the billions of dollars we got in federal aid that God knows where it is. I'm going to go work with our ranching partners and with our ag partners and find out ways to do things more efficiently. I'm going to get half our water back. Does that sound like a better idea? Again, because I'm taking the time to know the issues, guys. I'm learning, and I'm not afraid to learn. I'm not afraid to ask questions and say, what do you think? And I promise you this, I will bring on the smartest men and women you have ever seen in industry to get this state back in business on day one. So, farmers I've spoken to have been appreciative of the commitment I would make as their governor to help subsidize their transition to more efficient irrigation methods. So, fixing Las Vegas, separating facts from fairy tale. This is important, guys. Our campaign is taking a hard position on the need to get Las Vegas's exploding crime rate under control. So this guy, who's also running, all his commercials are about what a fantastic sheriff he was. Okay, that's all his commercials, really, that's what they're running on. That's what his PAC's about. Nevada cannot be successful without a safe and financially successful Las Vegas. Okay? No matter what, guys, we are supposed to be one of the tourism capitals of the world. Have you guys seen what that strip is like? All right, I don't know if you guys haven't. Let me tell you something. If Las Vegas's income drops, the only way to make up the loss of tax revenue would be to raise our taxes, and nobody wants that to happen, nor would I. Las Vegas' crime problems are many, and they're serious. They result from Governor Sisolak using fairy tales instead of facts to deal with the city's many challenges. Educating voters statewide about the need to know the facts about Vegas's issues is another major focus of our campaign. Las Vegas's overall national crime grade is an F. An F. A higher incidence of crime than 85 out of 100 American cities. Okay? In spite of this, Sisolak and the Metro Chief of Police have claimed that crime is down in Las Vegas. This is nothing but wishful thinking and fairy tale when you consider the following. The Vegas murder rate has increased to 110% this past year. 110%. Strip casinos are now wanding down guests for weapons when they come in the doors on weekends because they've had such an increase in serious crime. Carjackings have increased 30% with assailants ranging between ages of 14 and 15 years old. Guys, this is Chicago level crime levels, just so you understand where we're going when you hear these completely ridiculous commercials. Las Vegas property and violent crime rates both greatly exceed the national norms. Las Vegas violent crime rate is twice the national average. Las Vegas is one of the top 5 cities in the nation for reported frequency of child sex trafficking. 5th in the nation, guys. 5th in the nation. Our campaign offers solutions to many other state issues, and our solutions are finding great receptivity with voters. So now, I'll just say this. I want to bring this up because people are going to talk about it. People have criticized my presence at the January 6th, 2021 conservative gathering at the U.S. Capitol. And I just want to say this to you guys real quick. I'm proud to say I cared enough about our nation to be there. I will own it all day. All day. I was there. So, I'm proud to stand here and tell all of you something else that I feel pretty strongly about. If you guys witnessed what happened in Afghanistan, right, where my father was sent a few times, where I went on USO tours to see our men and women in uniform, when you see what's happening at that southern border, truly what's happening there, the tens of thousands that are making their way into this state, by the way. So when Lombardo talks about being the tough sheriff, they're busing them in by the tens of thousands. Tens of thousands. You better believe it. Okay? And then finally, what this Fauci-ouchie vaccine, this unproven experimental gene therapy is doing for military readiness, in my opinion, Joe Biden should be charged with treason. That's how I feel about it. I know that it's by no means a small charge. But when you think about, I'm part of the team that's doing the lawsuit against the DOD, okay, against SecDef, because we've got a flight surgeon in Fort Hood, Texas, grounding pilots.
Right.
Grounding them, saying that they shouldn't be flying munitions or personnel. All right? Do you guys have any idea what that means? These pilots are actually freakish human specimens. They go through flight physicals like you've never seen. They're grounding them. All right? What is that going to do to our nation's military capability? All the police officers, I got 300 Clark County firefighters that don't want this, that are going to walk. We got 30 or 40 here in Reno. About 60 Reno PD. NDOC, Nevada Department of Corrections, is getting ready to walk. No one wants this, and the only reason someone would be doing something like this is if he was trying to hurt the people, not help the people. Okay? And at the end of the day, you got to break it down and call a spade a spade. There is no public health emergency in this state anymore. The death rate dropped by 80% by May 2020.
Yes.
What we have is a perpetuated state of emergency being used as a power grab. Okay? To try and ruin our elections, which they already did. That's why he made the nonsense permanent. I'll tell you right now, I want paper ballots.
Yeah.
I want paper ballots. I want voter ID. I want cleaned up voter rolls. Okay? This is the simple stuff. All right? And I do think that if you voted twice, something should happen to you. We know 42,000 people voted twice. Okay? We had 15,000 votes come in from P.O. boxes or casinos or you know, trailer parks, wherever you're not allowed to be able to do it. And so what's the threshold, guys? Is it 1,500 votes? Is it 15,000 votes? We got tens of thousands of votes. Definitely more than there was to overcome the Trump deal, right? There's 33,000 was his margin of error. We overcame that by triple, but nothing happened. All right, so all I can say is that at the end of the day, guys, if you think about what just recently happened, the 2022 primary election in this state is June 14th. All right, I truly believe with all my heart it will be one of the most critically important elections of our lifetime. How much is at stake? Just recently, our own National Archives relabeled all of America's founding documents, okay, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, as dangerous in content.
What?
Yes. They've labeled our documents as dangerous in content. Our young people nationwide are being warned to stay away from the documents that define who we are and what we believe as Americans.
That's horrible.
Okay? This coming election could not be more important. So I tell everyone, please do your research. Listen carefully to the candidates. All right, guys? Listen carefully to these people. All right? Read their detailed positions on issues and then cast your ballot as if Nevada and your future depends on it, because it does. All right? So now, let me just say this, and I know I'm covering a little bit for Segal here, and I hope she gets here, but I will just say this. Trump, I think, made some mistakes early on because he let too many swamp-dwelling rats stick around. I won't make that mistake. Rest assured, I will ask everybody in every department, in every agency, for their resignation immediately.
Yes.
Every one of them.
Yes.
And then again, it's going to come down to the end of the day. Here's my litmus test. You guys understand this. There's 4 things. Did they censor the truth? Did they peddle the fear? Did they play the game with the nonsense this past 18 months? And finally, are they pushing the Fauci-ouchie? All right? Are they pushing it? That's the 4 things. If you have a candidate gets, I don't care if he even recommends it. Oh, you should get it. No. We've never done this before. The inventor of the mRNA, Robert Malone, is saying the only thing to do right now is to stop vaccinating during a pandemic. We have a leaky vaccine. It's 1.5 years old. It's not doing what it should be doing, okay? Never was going to do that. We won't get into that. What we'll get into is it's not necessary. There is treatment. And I'll tell you something else that's going to happen on day 1. Okay, day 1, not only is every mandate gone, everything reversed that this guy's done, okay? Anything with our schools, any games he's played, but on day 1, you will be able to pick up the treatment that you need at your county health department, because we got billions of dollars. And you guys probably don't know this. This is how far down the rabbit hole I went. I ended up on the phone with what is it called? FEMA, okay? There's things called push packages. They were actually stockpiling the hydroxychloroquine, the antibiotics, the vitamin D3. They had it all. All Governor Sisolak had to do was request it, and within 12 hours, we would have had enough hydroxychloroquine to treat the entire state. They had tens of millions of doses stocked up. Do you think he ever made that call? No. Do you know that his entire basis for the emergency regulation was supply? He said he wanted to make sure that there was enough for people that took it for rheumatoid arthritis and lupus. Well, as my father shared with me, any of those people could have missed a week or 2 of doses of it and been absolutely fine, never noticed a thing, and we could have saved lives. So he didn't do that. And so all I would say is on day 1, we'd have monoclonal antibody treatment being free, we'd have the ivermectin for free, we'd have hydroxychloroquine, and when in America, guys, have we ever sent sick people home? You have bilateral pneumonia and COVID. See you later. Come back when you're sicker. I mean, is that not just insanity? And then they're telling doctors what they can and can't prescribe. So this thing was so messed up from the jump. And unless you have someone that's standing up here that's willing to put it on the line and to stand against these guys, the teachers union is not going to support me. I think we already know that. Okay, big business is not going to support me. But you wanna know who can?
We will.
If we have the people of this state, if everyone in this room reaches out to the people in their contact box that says, give this man $17.76, I'm not kidding you. If I can get 50,000 Nevadans to do that, I got enough to sail through this primary. And then we won't have any problem bringing in the money to go against this elect. Because believe me, there is a lot of people that want this guy gone. It's all part of
So what are you gonna do when your guardsmen, who you will be in charge of, have to tell you, hey dude, we all had to get shots, how do you reverse that?
Well, you know, I will say this, I will provide any and all available medical treatment for them. After speaking to Dr. Judy Mikovits, she says, Joey, they don't do anything that they don't have an antidote for. It's the way they work. She said, and you can use black seed oil and you can use ivermectin immediately on anybody that's gotten vaccinated, and monoclonal antibodies. That's something they should definitely be getting, even if they got vaccinated.
NAC 600.
NAC 600. There's a lot of things we can do, but I'll tell you right now, I would look at that as an injury.
Yeah.
And that's going to be our responsibility. If we mandated these guys, our law enforcement, our firefighters, this guy has no clue what he's doing. First of all, there's not even an approved, FDA-approved vaccine available in the United States. So him going on the TV and scaring people, him joining a call where he was on the phone with NDOC and Attorney General Ford saying, so what's the problem? Why aren't more people vaccinated? All it is a sore arm. When he knew that we've had real bad reactions in this state, I think that's criminal, personally. And I'll tell you right now, as a governor that steps up, we will be like the Florida of the West. We will be a bright, red, shining bull of strength. I will step up and tell everybody that was forced to take that, you're our problem now. You're our problem now. You know what? We're going to have to step in and make sure that these people, because let me tell you something, what's roaring back? Cancer, all kinds of autoimmune diseases, allergies, all kinds of anything to do with the cardiovascular or pulmonary system, all kinds of thrombosis, clotting. So we already know where this is headed. And as Dr. Mikovits says, Joey, they just can't get the third shot. She says it's all about the third shot. So if you had one or two of them, don't get a third one. Go ahead.
I was going to say it's an honor to have you here, and we, you know, as a family, we really appreciate you. You know, I try to clue people in my church, you know, about what's going on. I was going to say, you know, me and my wife are both kind of in a situation where we're both at a chance of losing our jobs because we don't plan on taking a vaccine.
Sure.
You know, kind of what would be your suggestions? And we were both downtown at your rally at the Believe sign, and you know, I scoured the news directly after to see what they said. And one news channel put a story out, said there was dozens of people. There was dozens of militia. You know, there was probably a few hundred people, but you know.
Our PD told me it was almost about 450, 500, so they were cool.
Part of the point is, you know, like, you know, I guess we need to push through this media blockade. I see there's a giant media blockade, and I know you probably have, you know, plans to do that, but, you know, kind of on both of those subjects, what are your thoughts?
Well, listen, my heart breaks for those people that listen. They're going to have to make a decision, and unfortunately, you know, I would not want to have to base my health on keeping my job, and some people are going to have to make that decision. It's definitely a trade. I know I would take that thing no matter what happened. And again, I guess people could say that's easy for you to say. No, I mean, they might not let me in the courts here soon. I'm sure they're going to play a game. They're telling me they're not going to let me on an airplane. You see what Feinstein's doing. Okay. So